I grew up in an ideal home with a family that, we traveled together. Mom and Dad started singing when we were just little bitty kids. And then we started kind of taking our place in the band and the group, and learned we could sing harmony at 5, 6, 7 years old, and started playing instruments. And, by the time I was in high school, my siblings and I and my parents were the group. We sang at Dollywood a lot, and they had this it was called Little Dolly Dress Shop. And they had this little bitty, like, antique-y looking, ruffly baby dress with a little matching bonnet. And I thought, I'm going to buy this because I'm going to have a daughter. Never had children in my first marriage and went through a divorce. I kept the dress. I was 34 when I met Jimmy. I got pregnant. I found out I was having a girl. And I was beyond excited. And I told everybody about this dress, and here's the dress, and I'm finally going to get to put this on a baby. And, it was just like the greatest moment of all time. About 6 months in, we were on the road. We were in Hiwassee, Georgia. We got home late that evening, about midnight. I went straight to the emergency room, and soon the doctor came in, and she said, "Mr. and Mrs. Yuri, I'm so sorry, but your baby's heart has stopped beating." And all I can say was, "Why, God?" But I didn't just say it. I screamed it. "Why, God? And then that moment of, what did I do? Do I deserve this? Have I done something wrong? Was it that mistake I made? Or was it because I got a divorce? Was it because and I'm so grateful that God has given me songs through that. And I would get on stage and I would share my story with the audience and sing a song or two that came out of it. And every night I would have just tons of people come up and say, "We lost a child. We lost a child. Thank you for sharing that," or singing that. And, and some people would say, "We lost one, but we never talk about it. We never talked about it." And, it's okay to talk about it. And
it's healing. It's the only
It
healing.
really is. And that's the way I felt about sharing my story. It was like it was healing in the songs. And so, God has a plan, and he uses things. And I would never say that God, took my baby or whatever. But he promised to use things that are intended for evil for good. And I think if we let him, and no matter what the situation, that's what he does. I just thought at this age, with the risks and with our lifestyle being so busy, there's no way I can do this again. I'll never have a daughter. I'll never have a daughter. No girl will ever wear that dress in that closet. We decided to wait a year and really pray and be like, "God, we're not asking for another child. We're asking for a daughter." I got pregnant, and I knew it was my girl.
Once our son died, it's hard for me to have a small talk conversation. So I kind of dive deep, and some people are like, they'll dive in there with you. And then other people are like, "Oh my God, this guy wants to talk about death at 8 o'clock in the morning." I think it's a little much for people, but you can see into someone's soul when they have had loss, and a chemistry with those kind of people. And my wife and I, when we run into a couple that's had the same thing, we're just immediately connected to them.
When you lose a baby, you grieve the loss, but you grieve the life that you'll never know. Whereas if you grieve a son that you had a chance to know, you grieve what you knew. You grieve the future, but you've gotten to enjoy that person. And so for me, it was a grief of, what would she have looked like? What would she have done? Would she have been musical? Was she, all the things that I'll never know. So it's very much the same kind of grief, but you grieve different things too.
I'm really grateful that you agreed to do this, because if I were you, I would scare me.
Thank you for what you're doing, and it helps so many. And you never know we don't know what tomorrow brings. And there's going to be more people go through this kind of grief, and they don't know it yet. And so even people that you're helping prepare for things that they don't even know, God bless you. Keep telling